What's up, you guys? Welcome to the video. Tonight is a Spin Master Monster Jam collection video night. Happy Memorial Day. We'll start the video with Gears Blue Thunder. Now this thing. Space Gold chassis and wheels with white roll cage tires with golden beaky to printing with ice treads. Moving on to Ice Grave Digger. Now this thing. Blue chassis and wheels with white roll cage. Clear blue tires with white beaky to printing with white ice treads. Moving on to Zombie Megalodon. Now this thing. Black chassis with red roll cage with green wheels with black beaky printing. Got glitter tires. Moving on to Galaxy's Monster Mutt Dalmatian. Now this thing. Scion chassis with Scion B-locks and beaky printing with black roll cage and wheels with purple tires. Moving on to Fire Son of a Digger. Now this thing. Red chassis with yellow roll cage with red wheels with red beaky to printing with yellow fire treads. Moving on to Hunter Max D. Now this thing. Got silver chassis, gray chassis and tires with brown roll cage with mahogany wheels and chrome beaky to printing. Moving on to Gears Alien Invasion. Everything looks the same as the Blue Thunder. Moving on to Ice Dragon. Everything looks the same as the Grave Digger. Moving on to Zombie El Toro Loco. Now this thing. Black chassis with yellow roll cage with red wheels with black beaky to printing with glitter tires. Moving on to Galaxy's Bakugan Dragonoid. Everything looks the same as a Dalmatian. Moving on to Fire Grey Clips Mohawk Warrior. Everything looks the same as Son of a Digger. Moving on to Hunter Earthshaker. Everything looks the same as Max T. Moving on to the Neo Galaxy Grave Digger. Now this thing. White chassis with purple roll cage with pink wheels, teal tires with beaky to printing. Moving on to the Nitro Grave Digger. Now this thing. Pink chassis with black roll cage with purple beaky to printing bead and bead locks. Got black tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Gravedigger Green. Now this thing. Silver chassis and wheels with black, green roll cage and B-locks with BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Gravedigger Orange. Now this thing. Silver chassis and with orange roll cage and wheels with BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Gravedigger Red. Now this thing. Silver chassis with black, red roll cage and wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Gravedigger Purple. Now this thing. Black chassis with purple roll cage with blue wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Son of a Digger Yellow. Now this thing. Silver chassis and wheels with yellow roll cage with purple B-locks, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Gravedigger Son of a Digger Blue. Now this thing. Got silver chassis and wheels with blue roll cage with purple B-locks, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Rainbow Blast. Now this thing. Red chassis with white roll cage and wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Kraken. Now this thing. Got a copper chassis with silver roll cage with pink wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Velociraptor. Now this thing. Silver chassis with black roll cage and wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Jurassic Attack. Now this thing. Silver chassis with purple roll cage and wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Bad News Travels Fast. Now this thing. Orange chassis with black roll cage with silver wheels with orange B-locks, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Aftershock. Now this thing. Yellow chassis and wheels with blue roll cage, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Northern Nightmare. Now this thing. Silver chassis with red roll cage with orange wheels, BKT printed tires. Moving on to BKT Customs Blue Thunder. Now this thing. Silver chassis with green roll cage and tires, green roll cage and wheels, BKT printed tires. And now, moving on to the orange original Gravedigger. Now this thing got silver chassis with black roll cage and tires with yellow wheels. Moving on to Gravedigger the Legend. Now this thing. Black chassis wheels and black chassis roll cage and tires with silver wheels. Moving on to the retro Gravedigger. Now this thing. Black chassis and tires with green roll cage and wheels. Moving on to Gravedigger number 7. Now this thing got silver chassis and wheels with green roll cage with flotation tires. Moving on to Gravedigger number 7. Now this thing, everything looks the same as the number 7. Moving on to the 1982 original Gravedigger. Now this thing got black chassis and tires with yellow wheels. Moving on to the 1984 grain truck Gravedigger. Now this thing got black chassis, wheels and tires. Moving on to the 1986 Grandma Gravedigger. Now this thing got black chassis and tires with brown wheels. Moving on to the green Nitro Neon Gravedigger. Now this thing. Green chassis, roll cage and tires with white wheels. Moving on to the blue Nitro Neon Son of a Digger. Now this thing. Light blue chassis and tires with dark blue roll cage with white wheels. Moving on to the yellow Nitro Neon Earthshaker. Now this thing. Yellow chassis and tires with black roll cage with white wheels. Moving on to the pink Nitro Neon Calavera. Now this thing. Pink chassis, wheels and tires with black roll cage. Moving on to the teal Nitro Neon Blue Thunder. Now this thing. teal chassis and wheels with brown roll cage and tires. Moving on to the lime green Nitro Neon Gravedigger. Now this thing got lime green chassis, wheels, and tires with black roll cage. Moving on to the orange. Moving on to the 2024 green Neon Max T. Now this thing, silver chassis and wheels with silver roll cage with yellow tires. Moving on to the 2024 orange Max T. Now this thing, orange chassis and wheels with maroon roll cage with white, yellow wheel, yellow tires. Moving on to the orange Nitro Neon Max T. Now this thing, orange chassis, wheels, and tires with purple, with black roll cage. Moving on to the yellow Nitro Neon Max T. Now this thing, silver chassis with yellow roll cage and tires with black wheels. Moving on to the green Nitro Neon Max T. Now this thing got silver chassis with green roll cage and tires with black wheels. Moving on to the purple Nitro Neon Max T. Now this thing, purple chassis, wheels, and tires with white roll cage. Moving on to Custom Elementals Trucks Gravedigger. Now this thing, purple chassis with black roll cage, got green and yellow wheels on the left and orange and red wheels on the right with blue tires. Moving on, last but not least, to Custom Phased Out Son of a Digger. Now this thing, white chassis with black roll cage, got 2 red wheels, 1 black wheel, and 1 white wheel. Got 2 white tires and 2 black tires. Well, that's it for the video. Make sure you like, subscribe. You also turn on the notifications to my YouTube channel, Parker Wilson's Blinkin' and Amigos. Have a good night, y'all. See you.